Astonishingly, credit card debt in the United States has crossed the $1 trillion mark for the first time in history. That's right, folks. We're not talking about billions anymore. We're in the realm of trillions now. And what's more concerning is the way we're using credit. 1 in 5 Americans is now using buy now, pay later options for everyday expenses. Yes, you heard it right, everyday expenses. That's not for a fancy vacation or a shiny new gadget, but for ordinary stuff like groceries, gas, and utility bills. The buy now, pay later culture is not just a trend anymore, it's becoming a way of life for many. And it's not just the young or the spendthrift who are falling into this trap. People from all walks of life, across all age groups, are succumbing to the lure of plastic money. They're spending money they don't have on things they don't need to live a life they can't afford. Now, if you're thinking, so what? I'll pay it off eventually. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. When you're using credit for everyday expenses, it's like you're borrowing from your future self, and that future self is going to have to pay it back with interest. But what happens when that future self can't pay it back? Well, that's when we start seeing credit card delinquencies. And right now, credit card delinquency rates are at a decade high, reminiscent of the 2008 financial crisis. That's right, we're seeing the same patterns that led to the worst financial crisis in recent history. And what's causing all this? Is it reckless spending, lack of financial education, or is it deeper systemic issues in our economy? Whatever the reasons, it's clear that we're on a dangerous path. If this situation sounds familiar, it's because we've seen this movie before, right around 2008, and we all know how that movie ended. So it's time to take a hard look at our spending habits, our reliance on credit, and our financial future, because this is not just about credit card debt, it's about the future of our economy. So why are we witnessing such an unprecedented rise in credit card debt? Let's pull back the curtain and reveal the forces at play. At the heart of this mounting debt crisis are factors like lack of financial literacy, increased cost of living, and the lingering effects of the pandemic. For starters, let's discuss financial literacy, or rather the lack of it. Many people simply don't understand the implications of credit card debt. They see it as an extension of their income, not realizing the long-term consequences of their spending habits. Without the knowledge of how to manage credit responsibly, it's easy to fall into the debt trap, and climbing out of it can be a daunting task. Next up, the increased cost of living. From rent to groceries, education to healthcare, the price of just about everything is on the upswing. Many Americans are finding their salaries aren't stretching as far as they used to. This financial squeeze has led to an increased reliance on credit cards to bridge the gap, further exacerbating the debt problem. And then there's the pandemic, a crisis that has left millions jobless, struggling to meet basic needs, let alone pay off credit card bills. For many, credit cards have become a lifeline, a means to stay afloat in these tumultuous times. But this temporary relief comes with a hefty price tag in the form of high interest rates and mounting debt. These factors are like a perfect storm, driving up credit card debt to staggering heights. But it's not just about the individual burden of debt, this is a systemic issue. A ticking time bomb that could potentially destabilize our economy. The growing debt crisis is a stark reminder of the 2008 financial crisis, a period that still haunts our collective memory, with credit card delinquency rates reaching a decade high and household debt at an all-time high. The echoes are hard to ignore. Unfortunately, this is not just an individual problem, it's a systemic issue that could potentially affect the entire economy. So, what happens if this trend continues? If the current trend of soaring credit card debt continues, we may be looking at a significant wealth transfer in the coming years. The implications of this are far-reaching and could change the economic landscape as we know it. Consider this. When the credit card debt becomes too overwhelming, many Americans might be forced to liquidate assets like homes and cars. Imagine communities where homes are sold off, families displaced, and cars repossessed. The ripple effect of such a scenario could lead to a decrease in property values and a surge in rental demand, altering the dynamics of the housing market. But the potential implications go beyond individual households. The accumulated debt affects the overall health of the economy. When people are buried in debt, they're less likely to spend on non-essentials, And consumer spending, as we know, is a significant driver of the economy. A drop in spending could lead to businesses suffering, resulting in layoffs and a potential rise in unemployment. The situation could also strain the banking sector. With credit card delinquency rates reaching a decade high, banks might find themselves dealing with a growing number of unpaid debts. This could lead them to tighten lending standards, making it harder for consumers and businesses to access credit when they need it most. And let's not forget the government, with household debt at an all-time high, reminiscent of the 2008 financial crisis. The government might need to step in to prevent a full-blown economic meltdown. This could result in increased government spending and potentially higher taxes for everyone. So you see, the implications of the current credit card debt situation are not just about individuals struggling to pay off their debts. It's about the potential domino effect that could impact every facet of our economy. This is not just about credit card debt anymore, it's about the financial stability of the entire nation. But there's hope. We are not powerless in the face of this crisis. In fact, the power is in our hands. And it begins with adopting proactive financial strategies. One such strategy is managing credit responsibly. This doesn't just mean paying your bills on time, though that's a great start. It also means understanding the importance of your credit score, knowing how it's calculated, and taking steps to improve it. It means not maxing out your credit cards and being mindful of how much debt you're taking on. Remember, credit is a tool, not a crutch. Now let's talk about tightening spending. It's a simple concept, but one that can have a significant impact on your financial health. This means creating and sticking to a budget, cutting out unnecessary expenses, and prioritizing needs over wants. It might mean skipping that daily coffee shop run and brewing your cup at home, or opting for a night in instead of a night out. Small changes can add up to big savings over time. Another proactive strategy is building relationships with multiple lenders. Why is this important? Because having more than one lender can give you a safety net in case of financial emergencies. It allows you to compare interest rates and terms and choose the best option for your needs. But remember, this strategy isn't about taking on more debt, it's about having options and flexibility. These strategies aren't just about surviving a potential economic shift, they're about thriving in any financial climate. They're about taking control of your financial health and improving your financial outcomes. They can help you avoid the stress and uncertainty that comes with financial instability and set you on a path towards financial freedom. So as we navigate through these uncertain times, remember that you have the power to change your financial future. You have the tools you need to take control of your finances and to build a secure and prosperous future. Remember, the first step towards financial security is awareness. And now that you know, you have the power to change the course of your financial future.